Hey, on this episode of SAMP&CHANCE Wrestling, we are just 2 weeks away from the Royal Rumble. Things are heating up in the world of professional wrestling in regards to the Royal Rumble and all over the place. So, guys, if you want to find out where Brock Lesnar is and who's coming and who's going, you got to tune into the show, SAMP&CHANCE. Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's Tuesday. It's Wrestling with SAMP&CHANCE. I'm your host, Bobby Sampson. Right there beside me, my man with the master plan, Mr. Chance Michaels Everlast. What's going on, brother?
Not too much, not too much. Looking forward to the show. How about you?
Can't complain, my friend. Got my coffee, got my water. It's cold outside, but it's nice and warm inside. And
Yeah,
things are heating up in the world of wrestling, man. So let's get right into
do
it. Royal Rumble 2 weeks away. We had Raw last night. Average show. I don't think it was the greatest show that they
No.
had, but I don't think this show was not geared for us. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. I mean, yes, we're building up to the Royal Rumble, but the attention was oceans apart and continents apart.
Yes.
I hit on that point right away, Trans, only for the fact that I want everyone to know that that show was not meant for us last night.
Yeah, but people forget WWE is a global audience, not just North Canada and America, right? India, England, you name a country, they're there. So that was for India last night, the main event.
Yeah, I know. I mean, having Veer and Sangha come out as well. I mean, very, very close. I almost thought there for a second, oh crap, okay, they're gonna, he's gonna lose, have the title for maybe a month, lose it to the Rumble. No one's less for it. Maybe hold it till Elimination Chamber if they really want to do it that way. I really thought that he was gonna win last night. I really did. I had a suspicion that they were gonna pull the trigger. You?
No, I knew no way Jinder was going to win. But I'll tell you one thing about Jinder. He's getting a lot, people call him a mid Carter, a jobber. I know he got the belt, but here's the thing about the guy. He's big. He looks like $1 million. He's built and he dresses well. I call it the airport an airport champion. When you go to the airport and you see Jinder Mahal, big, strong, he wears the loafers with no socks. He got the suit. He looks like a champ. He dresses like a star compared to some of these other guys who just wear hoodies and sweats. So he looks the part. So I'm glad he got this opportunity and he deserved it. And he actually wrestled a good match. When they were standing against each other last week, you could look at it and say, oh my God, if Jinder wanted to get his maul set with his bare hand, you know what I mean? In a shoot fight, he would squash him. So I thought he wrestled a decent match. I thought he looked good. He looks good. He's not quite as built as he was, but they love him in India. That's all that matters, right? But he dresses the part. He looks the part, which is I really appreciate that. He takes his craft seriously compared to some of these guys who dress like slobs outside of the ring.
Okay, fair play. No, I can't. There's nothing there to disagree with. I mean, I think.
And Tony Khan finally made a star in Jinder by doing that on Twitter and mouthing off and stuff. He finally made Jinder a star. It's the first star that Tony Khan's ever created. So Tony, you finally created a new star.
Yeah, I just don't think Tony gets it. Like he gets wrestling.
Yeah.
But I mean, you were right. I have to call it when it's right. You were right. Like, I mean, that entire promotion is geared to the internet wrestling community.
It is, yeah.
So, I mean, it's basically, I don't want to call it woke wrestling, but it's pretty much woke wrestling, right?
Nobody's saying Jinder Mahal is Stone Cold or Brock Lesnar, but he deserved the match. He looks good. He looks the part. Like Tony should never even mentioned it. Like I'm not sure why he's so invested over who WWE's main event's going to be on Raw. He should focus on his own product. Vince McMahon would never come out and tweet, "Oh my God, this is your main event." Like, he doesn't care. He's on his focus on his product, and that's a problem with Tony Khan.
Well, I think that's just the problem with every other promotion. If you go back all the way to WCW, I mean, one of their biggest things was calling out all the matches, calling out all the champions, and Mike Tyson at the WrestleMania, and that announcement, that's going to go down forever and ever as perhaps one of the major turning points.
Oh, when Mankind, he really puts butts in the seats.
Yeah, absolutely, right? I mean, if that was the worst call Tony Schiavone ever made, that would have had to be it, only for the fact of the ramifications of that call, right? I mean, that basically changed everything. So, I mean, you can look at other organizations, and Tony Khan should do the same and see what WCW is doing and did. I mean, feuding with Eric Bischoff is really stupid on his part, in my opinion. I mean, that's one guy you want in your corner to show you, what he did wrong and the things that they did wrong. I mean, to be honest, I think WCW could have won that thing if they had played their cards right. But I mean, AEW is basically doing everything the same way, but in more of a politically correct way. Is that right way to
That's
say it?
exactly what they're doing. Yeah, he's going political. He's like you said, he's gearing toward the niche market. Tony Khan, he's a hardcore wrestling fan. He's a hardcore wrestling market. His dad has money, so he can play Booker. But here's the thing: I think Ed said it best. Tony Khan's a fan. Triple H is a fan. Vince McMahon, he thinks about global. He thinks the worldwide. He doesn't care about two dudes in their underwear rolling around and flipping. He's thinking about, oh my God, we got to bring in Liberace. We got to make this a spectacle. Because to be honest with you, two dudes in their underwear wrestling around for an hour all the time, it can get boring after a while. You need some sparkle. You need some pizzazz. And that's what Vince brings. AEW doesn't have that entertainment aspect yet. They're too focused on just the in-ring product, which is great for the hardcore fans. But the casual guys, they want some star power. That's where it comes down to.
Isn't it awesome that we love two guys wrestling in their underwear?
Yeah, but you don't want to see it all, like too many of it all the time. I like to see the stars out there too, right?
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, it's sports entertainment. I mean, it's
yeah, that's what it
entertainment.
is.
It's sport. I mean, it's perhaps the most unique product in the world. I mean, there's
Yeah, you can
nothing
have
like
music
it,
out there. You can do anything out there.
right? It's nothing like it in the world that compares to it, or even, even comes close to, um, anything in the world. I mean, I guess soap
Nothing like it.
operas, right, are the closest things to it.
Nothing compares to WrestleMania, right? The granddaddy of them all, the spectacle, right? That's the ultimate entertainment show.
No, that's a Super Bowl of it all, right? But I mean,
Yeah,
I almost feel that from January onwards is probably the best time to be a wrestling fan.
yeah. The
Till
Royal
spring,
Rumble and
right?
Mania.
I mean, it's just something about the Royal Rumble. Speaking of the Royal Rumble, man, Brock Lesnar making headlines. We have not seen him since SummerSlam. He was not at Saudi Arabia, and he's been at every one of those Saudi shows since they started in 2018. So the last I've heard is he will probably end up at the Royal Rumble, which will lead to that Gunther and Brock match. I mean, any indication kind of shows they're kind of planting the seeds. Gunther coming out last night, he hasn't been there for a little bit, took a little bit of a break. Comes out and says that he's going into the Royal Rumble. Everyone's talking about finishing their story and whatnot, but don't forget, I was in there for the whole match until the very last, second to last man. Doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. You didn't win,
Yeah,
but they're building that up now, like to that point where I can see, okay, Brock's going to come out, eliminate him. That's going to set up the match. Now, the question remains, is Brock in that position now where he's just there to put over guys?
I
I
think
think,
it's. I think yes and no. I think sometimes, but definitely Gunther's. If he wrestles Gunther at Mania, Gunther's gonna beat him. He's young. I mean, give him that push, give him that rub. But yeah, for the most part, yeah. They're also saying that they're trying to convince Lesnar to fight at UFC 300. Eh?
they're having problems. UFC's having problems, a lot of problems right now, man. I mean, I think they put so much in that 299 card, they have nothing left for 300. I mean,
Who
even
puts 300 over the top? You get Lesnar out of retirement. There you go.
well, bro, they've canceled the Saudi show, and we'll talk about this more in the boxing episode. Only for the fact I only bring it up here. They canceled that show in March because they didn't feel the card was strong
His
enough.
Excellency didn't think it was a star-studded card. They only want star-studded cards.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: UFC 300, you put Lesnar on the card, boom, pay-per-views are through the roof. I don't know if he can pass the test though. That's the only thing holding him up.
Well,
That's
I
why he
mean,
can fight Daniel Cormier. People don't realize that. Not that he was scared of the guy. It's
no.
just that they do their own testing and they get just like John Jones still gets pinned still once in a while because they can trace what's like a grain of salt in your body if you ever used. The testing is so good. So that's why Lesnar didn't fight Cormier.
But
He
who would
wasn't scared
Brock
of him. He just
fight at
didn't pass
300?
the test. What's that?
Who would you put him up against at 300? I mean, we're 2 months away, 3 months.
Well,
away.
John Jones wants, but I don't know if John Jones might be too short a notice.
He won't heal up fast enough. He won't be ready till maybe.
That's the thing. That's the super fight
and
right
on top
there.
of that, he just went and got bone spurs taken out of his elbow.
If Nagano was still in UFC, I'd do Lesnar Nagano, but he's not. So somebody will take it. They'll find somebody if he does. I don't know. That could just be a rumor, but because they're looking for star power for that show, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, let's look at the card at Royal Rumble so far. We got Roman
Yeah.
going against, in a fatal four-way, which should be interesting. I think, again, Roman's going to walk away.
Now, is Orton guy going to be in the Royal Rumble too?
See, that's the thing, probably. I mean, at the end of the day, if
There
you're
you
trying
go.
to make up numbers and everything, it all depends, right? I mean, most likely than not. Depends where that fight is. If that's the last fight of the card, then no. It all depends where they put it, right? I mean,
But I think you need Orton and Styles and those guys in the Rumble. Let's give it a little bit of extra kick, a little bit of more star power, right?
again, it all depends where if that match is the first match. See, because with 2 Royal Rumbles, you would think they're gonna bookend each other, right? So if that's the
Yeah.
case, I would figure, okay, you start with the women's, and then you end with the men's, and everything else is in between. So if that match, that Roman match, is the second to last match before the men's Rumble, I don't know if they're going to make it back in time for that. If they'd be able to pull it off. I can tell you though, if they start with the heavyweight title or the world championship match first, then you could see them at the end.
Yeah. I got a feeling we'll
Um,
see Orton in the Rumble somehow.
yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I mean, I don't think it's gonna benefit anybody. Last night on Raw, we saw the beginnings of the Rhea Ripley Becky Lynch match at Mania, which will probably happen, which leads me to believe that she's probably gonna win the Rumble somehow. I
I
would
think
think.
so.
But that being said, we still have Fastlane or whatever Elimination Chamber after that. So there
Yeah,
are
in
shows,
Australia.
right? There are shows still to come that can, change the dynamic of it all. But Rhea came out, cut a promo saying this is her division. She doesn't appreciate Nia Jax coming out here, talking all her smack. I'm the leader. I'm the woman of this division, which she is. She didn't say nothing wrong. She's just continuing on to be this powerhouse of an individual, which is awesome.
Yeah,
But
they do that.
just that statement at the end, I'll see you at Mania. She hopes she wins the Rumble. So that's a match we haven't seen. So that should be kind of fun. I mean, that's
Yeah,
gonna be
that'll
really
definitely
cool.
happen at WrestleMania for sure.
And I like what Becky said. She goes, deep in my heart, I think you're better than me, but I need to see you to prove that.
Yeah.
Right. So I like that. I like where that story's going. What else do we have? We had Ivar squash, Tozawa. I don't know what they're doing there, man. Really,
Why do they keep that to me? That's the thing is like I noticed when I was watching Raw a little bit last, a little bit this morning, they lack a lot of star power on Raw. If you're putting out Ivar Tosawa out there for a match on Raw, that's a filler. That should be on a house show. So I'm not sure. I mean, I know they're getting them work, getting them on TV, but like, I don't know. That doesn't seem like a Monday Night Raw match to me.
well, I mean, Eric is injured, right? So
Yeah,
I mean, that's why they're giving Ivar the push, the singles push. If you look at the Viking Raiders, they have had more injury and shelf time than they have had time together. It feels like if one's not injured, the other's injured. It
yeah,
just kind of back and forth. Ivar had that really bad injury which kept him out for like 5-6 months. But I respect Ivar trying to do the singles push, keeping the name alive and keep going.
yeah. But
But
is it necessary though? If his partner's down, he's not really a good singles competitor. So why force this? Just let him. Dude, you're going on the house shows. You're taking some time off. Your partner's injured. That's just too bad because
yeah,
that is just that match is. I don't understand it.
there's not a lot to understand, man. I
No,
mean, what can you really say? It just makes things really interesting because I mean, you can't forget that the Rock's now involved in all of this somehow,
mhm.
right? And I kind of segue into this because I just think it's really interesting. How is this going to play out? Like, where does everyone go? You got Punk trying to finish his story. You got Cody trying to finish his story, storyline wise, right? And then you throw in Brock, and then you throw in, well, Brock, we already know what direction he's probably going to go
Yeah,
in, right? And there's only really one title that they can all go for. So who's Seth going to face if that's the case, right?
probably
Um,
CM Punk.
but it's kind of interesting if you think about it. Here comes The Rock, here's CM Punk, and one of the major reasons he left is because of all the stuff that went down with The Rock, him losing the title, him losing the opportunity to headline WrestleMania. And sure
Yeah, he's
enough, Punk,
crybaby.
right? And sure enough, Punk comes back, and guess who else comes back, right? So,
Like I've said before, Punk, cries about this, and Seth does too. These guys complain and they cry. You guys aren't global stars like The Rock or Brock Lesnar. You just aren't. And you're great in the wrestling community. You're not a box office star outside of the ring. So they come back, they sell. Look at how much social media views Rock does when he comes back. Seth can't touch that.
well,
That's why this is a money business, right?
I'm going to make an early prediction here, okay? Maybe The Rock does enter the Royal Rumble. I don't think he does, in my opinion. I think you have enough time. He's planted the seeds. I don't think that match with Roman's going to be a title match in any way. It just shouldn't be. It makes no
But it
sense.
has to be. There's no point of it then.
Well, I mean, if that's the case,
No, it's a title match, 100%.
Okay, well,
Rock only does title matches. He's not going to wrestle for no title.
you
Not
think
when
with
he's in his early 50s.
okay, when you say it that way, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's how I see it playing out, okay? I don't know why, but I almost have a feeling they're gonna make it a three-way dance at Mania for Seth's title. Seth, Punk, and Cody. Somehow
Yeah, they
it's
could do
gonna
that.
it's gonna become a triple trust somehow. Right? Because where does Cody go? If he's not fighting Roman, who does he fight?
Well, you can already see a little bit. Cody's, I'm not saying he's fading, but he's definitely going down a little bit. You get his feeling when he comes out. He's lost a little bit of momentum with Orton back, with Punk back, with Rock back. He's never been the top guy anywhere, and even right now, you can still see they're making you believe his story is story is story. But if you just watch the crowd reaction, you can just see it's Orton, Punk, and the Rock right now, or the three
Yeah.
guys, and just
No disagreement, but this is where you have to dig in and see what your character is all about, right? I mean, the honeymoon period ends for everyone.
I've always said
So
it before for years on the show. I've never understood the hype with Cody Rhodes. Yeah, he dresses well. He's not a bad worker, but I've never understood him being a top guy. He tells you he's a top guy, but the fans have never said that. The promoters have never thought he was. So all of a sudden, I'm not sure where all this Cody is this amazing guy
I
came from.
think
He's a
I
mid
think
Carter at best. That's what he
I
always
think what
where he belongs.
happens, and they talked about it last night because Cody did come out, opened up the show, and Drew came out with his
True.
whiny little attitude piece. And all these guys are kind of intertwined. I mean, Cody's last match with Drew before he came back was on the
Mm-hmm.
independent. So I mean, yeah, there's something to be said about leaving and coming back and rebuilding yourself. And sometimes you need that, right? Jinder had to do it, Drew did it, Cody did it.
Yep.
There's a few other guys that will probably emerge back on the scene at some point that were let go, but they built up that.
But that's in the Vince McMahon days when he said, "Hey, you guys, you're just not cutting. You got to go." The new regime is not like that. They're going to put out Ivars and Tozawas and Johnny Gargano's. So Vince would never do that like that. And so you're going to see like some parts of Raw, like when I was watching Tozawa versus Ivar, and when I was watching Dominic JD versus DIY, I thought this should be on AEW. The first thing I thought when I watched it just feels like the little guys flipping around, which is cool and stuff. They're talented, but that feels like AEW to me. And we're
Yeah.
losing a lot of star power and that cool feel that I'm finding. They're trying to. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to kind of appease everybody, but I don't think it's working. That's what I see on Raw, at least
Well,
last
I
night.
mean, you also have to work with what you got.
Yeah, but you don't need to have. You got other guys you can. They don't need to have Ivar versus Tozawa. That
How would
match
you
serves
book?
no
How
purpose,
would you
right?
book Raw then? I mean, based on what
Well, I'd
you
have to see
know of
which
their
guys are
roster.
available, but I'd throw Omos out there. I'd throw a couple big dudes out there. I wouldn't have all these little guys all the time because that's what AEW is. And I'm not knocking little guys. Some of my favorite guys of all time are the little guys, but when the whole show's around that, that's AEW. Another thing the SmackDown regime is getting a lot of heat for is that move that Theory did on Carmelo Hayes, which is a great match. That move that he did, Vince would never have allowed him to do that, and then they both got hurt. So you can kind of see the inmates are running the asylum a little bit. The big mean boss ain't there to keep you in line, and kind of the cool guys here. And when the cool guy gets here, this is the kind of stuff that happens, right? I don't think they would ever let that move happen. Hey, look, if you would have pulled it off, it would have been genius. But they both cracked heads and they both got hurt.
Yeah, both walked away with concussions, man.
It's too bad
No, I
because
mean,
those guys are great athletes.
ebbs and flows, my brother.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of look at the business and everything. Like, not everything's gonna always be the way we
No,
like.
it's not always you go, but WWE has to distinguish themselves and not follow in that AEW. Let some couple of geeks on the internet trash talking them and fall to what they want because that's what AEW does. You don't want to get caught in that trap.
Let's see if they can pull it out. Let's see what they do. I mean, again, it just all comes down to with what you're working with and what you have to work with.
Yeah, that's part of it too.
Right? I mean, Omos is a big man, but we have not seen him in a long time. I know
But why not though? He's the biggest man in wrestling, and they don't even throw him out there. Throw him out there. Let him stand. Let him punch out a few guys. And you got these little guys like JD McDonough, who looks like he could be your plumber, and you got this monster of an athlete that you'll never see anywhere else. We're not using him. Like, I just don't get it.
Again,
you could do something. Right?
Yeah.
Something.
Let's see what they do. We are in the season. Let's see what happens here. But I really feel like I said, I just think like now Punk is going to come back and he's going to confront Cody. So I have a feeling there's going to be something there. I hope we don't get a tie. Royal Rumble, we haven't seen one of those in a while where both guys get thrown out at the same time. I almost have a feeling we're going to see something like that. I don't know why. I could be, I hope I'm wrong. I want a clear-cut winner, but I just have a feeling just to kind of fit everyone into this somehow. to make
Well,
it
they don't
work.
need to fit everyone in. Some people's feelings get hurt. Their feelings get hurt. You got
Yeah.
to go with the guys that have a hot hand that will draw the most money for WrestleMania. And if Cody's feelings are hurt, or it's Punk or Orton's, well, that's too bad. There's only 2 main events for the men's for the belts, right? You can't have everybody in there to please everybody, and
Well,
that's when things get out of line, right?
we got
We'll
two
see how
weeks
they
to the
do it. It
Rumble.
can go a lot of ways, but
We got 2 weeks to the Rumble, and from there
yeah,
we should start getting some answers, clear cut answers, and then after that, Elimination Chamber in Australia. So that should answer a lot more. Um, but I think that this will pick up for Rock and Roman at the Elimination Chamber. I have a feeling that Rock will be there.
yeah,
Uh,
you might, yeah,
well, I mean, it's that kind of a show, right? I mean, why wouldn't he be on that show? I just don't see him. If Rock goes into the Rumble, I don't see him winning it. It makes no sense for him to win it. He's already won it. I mean, that spot should still be open for your main roster talent.
yeah,
You already know that fight's going to happen. So just, let's just figure out a different direction to it. And like I said, Rock already called them out, said, should I sit at the head of the table? So, I mean, here we go. So
going
we already,
down.
we already kind of know two of the matches for Mania. Um, Royal Rumble shaping up to be pretty good. You got Logan Paul against Kevin Owens. Both those guys should be in the Royal Rumble. We got the four-way dance for the men's title. We got the two Royal Rumbles. Other than that, the card's still pretty barren, man. The women, neither women are defending their titles so far that we know of.
Yeah, the Rumble's all
Um,
about is all about the just the two Rumble matches, right?
yeah,
Anything
yeah,
else
yeah.
you can we're pretty much think around. Those are the most exciting.
No, for sure, for
And
sure.
Logan Kevin should be a good match.
But overall, man, I think the state of wrestling is pretty good. TNA is doing really, really well, and now that they're back, they've dropped the Impact name, so they're now officially TNA again. A lot of
Yeah,
guys were happy. So this is the other thing. Some of the people that were going to leave TNA to come back to WWE are now considering staying where they are because they're having a good time and they're enjoying what they're doing over at TNA. So a couple of the names that have been thrown out there as surprise entrants may not even be there anymore. So good for TNA. I mean, they're quietly, you got to figure that's one organization that's just quietly stayed in the background and they haven't, dropped off. I feel like AEW's dropped off a lot more than TNA has.
yeah, but the AEW is still a way bigger player than TNA. But I know what you're saying though. AEW came into a lot of hype. They were the anti WWE, anti big bully boss kind of thing. There's a geeky dude on the side, and it played cool for a while. And now you can see what happens when the cool guys run the show. You watch AEW. They're still like
Again,
split it. You can tell.
it really shows again that old school mentality. I mean, the talent will always be the talent and they'll always look at the other guy as the money. He's never fully accepted into that flow that everyone else is that's considered talent, right? So I
Yeah,
mean,
which is fine, but he just needs to be a little more authoritative, a little more strict, a little more like Vince McMahon. Nobody can be like Vince, but you got to have some rules. Like Jericho said, if you screwed up, you didn't do what you was told, McMahon would, he'd discipline you or he'd get rid of you.
I
Tony
don't
Khan, if you screw up, you got no fear. You can literally sit in a press conference with the guy, insult him and his company, and he doesn't do nothing. Grab
I
that
don't
mic, shut CM Punk down.
I
Like that
don't
kind of stuff.
yeah, I don't think Tony Khan will get it or put himself in that position until Rashid Khan realizes how much money his son is spending and pulls back the purses a little bit for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right now it's free money.
Tells son to
It's
step
easy.
up.
It's easy money for him, right? He doesn't have to think about where it's coming from. He doesn't have to think about what he's putting into it. If he was using his own money, if he was using his own funds, you would not see the type of show you did at Wembley with 80,000 fans. I don't care what anybody says. You probably spent more to have the show there than you did to make off of it. How many of
Yeah.
those tickets were comped? How much did you have to pay the talent? Like there's just so many costs that goes into running a show. When you're
Speak.
using someone else's money, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, speaking of shows, they got Sting's last match coming up at their pay-per-view Revolution on March 3rd. So
Yeah, Greensboro, Carolina.
I guess it's him and Darby versus Young Bucks or something. I don't know if that's officially up.
That's what I'm seeing. That's what they showed at the end of it. Again, the Young Bucks are back again.
But does that feel like a match you must see because Sting's fighting the Young Bucks with Darby Allin? To me, no. When you see Taker versus Michaels retirement match, oh my god! And when you see Flair and Michaels or whatever it was. You know what I mean? But this match, like, it's cool to see Sting. He's still doing great for 60, like the way he flies around. But it's like, I don't know. And they're gonna let JR commentate the match with Tony Schiavone. That's cool, kind of old school feel.
I feel the match that they wanted was the last WCW match that they had on the WCW banner was Sting versus Flair. I bet you anything that's what they would hope they could have done.
Flair can't even move, dude.
No,
Did you
but
see
that's
him
what I'm
chopping the
saying.
other day?
No, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, I mean, you know, of all the guys that would be the perfect guy for that match, it's the one guy that can't move. And that's a testament to Sting.
But he still wants to wrestle, though. He wants to do
No,
it.
he does.
Let him.
But it's just going to be horrible if he does, right?
Did you see him the other night in there?
Yeah, he looked horrible.
He was barely standing. I know he's wearing those dress shoes with off balance of it, but still, like, his chops, like, no. I love the guy. He's one of my favorites, but no.
He is, but he's just one of those guys that needs to step away now. Like, you can't do it anymore. You're only hurting yourself.
Technically, he really got retired when he's 59. McMahon called him up and said, "You're retiring. Pick your final match. You're done." Yeah. You don't want to retire, but it's too bad. You're 59. You're retired.
It makes sense. You know? Look, it's like this, okay? We've grown up watching Ric Flair, right? And I legit grew up like, you know, this is where I have that one benefit on you. Yeah. I have an extra few years where I actually got to watch him still in his prime as a kid, right? Like, where I understood everything. I mean, with all due respect, brother, a lot of what you've seen is probably tape delayed or old archives, where I actually got to see this stuff in real prime time, right? You know, so watching it from that perspective, it's just like when you actually go see them live then at this stage, it's a letdown. I'll give you an example of that. For me, it was Bob Dylan. Okay. I love Bob Dylan as a kid growing up. Loved all his music, loved everything. But then when I actually saw him live, it was probably the most disappointing concert I'd ever been to.
Well, he's never been a good singer. When you put him live, there's no studio tricks, even worse.
No. Meaning wise, like, I expected 1960s Dylan. To be fair, because that's all I ever heard in my headphones, you know, just like the old school Dylan. But when I actually saw him, like, Santana opened for him. Santana was amazing, right? But when Bob came out, his voice didn't translate to what I was expecting.
Well, he was never a good singer, even on record. Put him live, he's brutal. But he's got a great songwriter, and he just sits on a chair.
Well, for me, I've always enjoyed him, right? So, you know,
I like
that was the letdown. That was a letdown for me. But I mean, it's kind of like saying, you know, and I'm not trying to.
Jimi Hendrix, not a good singer either, but he's got good songs. They don't have great voices. They just kind of talk and mumble through their songs, but it still sounds good. But you put them live. Listen to Jimi Hendrix live. His guitar's great. His voice sounds like crap. It's just talking.
But it's that time of the year. It was that time where it was more acid based and everything.
Yeah, but Jim Morrison can howl like the moon, though.
No, I get it, man. But they all died at 27, so we don't know what.
I know. I'm just saying, like, Bob Dylan's not a good singer, but he's a good songwriter. But I know what you mean.
Right, but it was just a letdown. So I mean, almost it feels like if you go see Ric Flair fight now and you're basing it on what you thought you saw and what you're expecting, it's going to be a letdown.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like watching McMahon take a stunner now. It's not good.
Don't do it. Well, you got that spine problem, right? Yeah, you can't take it.
Right. But don't do it again. It diminishes you. It's like the pro athlete that doesn't know when to walk away. Right. Like who can we look at in the world of combat sports that should have stopped a long time ago, but now it's like amassed 10 straight losses? Tony Ferguson, walk away already, bro.
Yeah.
Right. You were amazing and you should have stopped when you were amazing. Now your legacy, you're just known for the guy who lost your last 7 fights.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. So that's the kind of point I'm trying to make here. It's like, who do you put against Sting that makes any sense? Anyone that would have made sense is retired or too old.
I guess you could do Jericho, but even then they didn't really have a rival. Jericho was an undercard, mid-card guy in those days. So,
well, that's the thing. Jericho will be the only guy, but he's got his own, bag of skeletons that he's dealing with right now, right? You don't see much of him on the show right now in the last couple of weeks. They've kind of hit him on Collision, right? Till this kind of boils over. So, I mean, yeah, brother. I mean, I don't know. We can keep going on.
I guess it's better than nothing. Having him do one more match is better than not seeing him, I guess. So we'll definitely have to tune in, check that out.
No, we definitely have to check that out. All right, brother, man. I think we've jabbered on long enough here, man. We've talked a lot about this and that and the other. Here we are, 2 weeks away from the Royal Rumble. We will be together watching it. We'll try to cut some live. No, we will cut some live segments, maybe go live a little bit during the show. And yeah, we're gearing up here, man. Let's see what we can do before that. Let's see what the show is produced before that. And I guess we're just in waiting stage now.
Yeah.
Right?
NXT
NXT tonight, AEW Wednesday night, Thursday night free of wrestling, back to Friday night SmackDown. So yeah, man, we're ready to go. All right. On that note, my name is Bobby Sampson. His name is Mr. Chance Michaels.
In the words of the great AC/DC, those that download, like, and subscribe to the podcast, we salute you.
We do salute you. It is cold right across the continent. I don't think there's one place on this continent, well, outside of Mexico maybe, but even Houston's cold. Even Arizona's cold. So everyone's a bit cold. So stay warm, guys. Don't stop fighting the good fight. That's what I'm going to tell you guys today, man. No matter if things are good, keep fighting. If they're bad, fight harder. Everything will balance out, right? That's my message to the world today. Just keep grinding. Do never give up. Never stop trying. Even when things are bad, it's okay. Bad things happen because you're supposed to learn from them. And if you can't learn from the bad things, then nothing you do will matter.
Well said.
So just keep working hard, everybody. And that's the message from Samp and Chance. Guys, we will see you Thursday with our boxing show. Samp and Chance are out.